I started on the Chris Chan one, and like all Chris Chan documentaries, I get sad when I'm watching it, and it like just the absolute devastation that he wreaks around himself and his life kind of depresses me. Chris Chan? Oh my goodness, Tom, take it away.
I love how out of the loop Woody always is with like anything. Like, although I'm like a fan of the show. I've been watching you guys since you had Medicare on like 5 years ago. So I've been
hell yeah
in it. Okay, Woody. So Chris Chan is like a really cool guy. Big YouTube channel, famous dude, lots of donos.
Several months later.
But what's the most upsetting, disgusting person you've ever done an expose on?
I mean, I filmed in person with Chris Chan prior to the arrest. So as I'm working on like a giant 5-hour-long Chris Chan documentary, I don't know how to end it. And then the news came out that fateful day, and me and my team.
Trans associate of Mr. Beast. Am I?
No, this is a different guy. That's Chris from Mr. Beast.
Chris Chan Sonichu.
You be careful with that medallion; it'll curse you.
I just met with Chris Chan again a couple of months ago for a follow-up documentary, and he
pardon my flashness.
And she gave me a custom Chris Chan Sonichu medallion with like a special eye on the back of it. So.
Balloon.
I don't know anything about Chris Chan.
Chris Chan is the person who got arrested for supposedly raping his own mother. Chris Chan is there's a great police activity video. I always steer you guys back there.
Yeah,
of Chris Chan.
It was very funny. I watched that one.
and the cops are in his. It's a trans person, but it's like very clearly like a masculine trans person, but. We got some kind of sonic chew, and she keeps talking about invisible people who aren't in the room, who she's married to, like characters. It's like she's like, I don't remember what they were, but she's like, oh yeah, I'm married to like Knuckles and Tails, and they're here in the room.
Charmander, yeah.
Can you feel Charmander?
Chris Chan saying these things?
Yeah. To the cops. Okay. The cops in cuffs on a bed in their own motel. They're confirming the warrant, and she's just like, did you feel that? And the cop's like, what? My husband Knuckles just slapped you. He's like, no, I didn't feel that. Hit him harder, baby. And this is, obviously there's an invisible person there, but outside fans have started to gather and they're yelling like, free Chris Chan.
Yeah, that's even Ralph filmed that.
Is that Chris Chan there?
That's Chris Chan.
Chris Chan grew up as a boy.
Chris Chan. So the story behind Chris Chan is that he was born in the 80s. He was originally named Christopher, but when he was 10 years old, an animatronic bear at the mall called him Christian instead of Christopher. So he started referring to himself as Christian, and his parents were very religious. So they thought it was like a sign from God. So they legally had his name changed from Christopher to Christian because they thought it was like Jesus telling him. So from there, he lived as Christian for many years and grew up, and then found the internet in like 2007 and proceeded to be the most trolled person of all time online, with his own wiki having over 10,000 articles, I believe, at this point. And when he was around 35, I believe, right after his father died, he transitioned to become a woman. Is now Christine.
When did the alleged sex, whatever, like, go down?
So this is what I wonder if. Okay, it was alleged the charges were dropped mainly because the courts just didn't want to deal with the situation, and it was like a time served almost thing where she was in prison for pretty much 2 years, and then they just let her out because she has a manager in real life that basically was able to find her housing that was not with her mother to get out of prison. So now when they said, okay, we have an apartment for her to be at and a way to make money by selling medallions online, that the courts were like, fine, just as long as she's living on her own, we're gonna just drop this and move on. Because
the mother's like not well, right?
Mother's in her 80s, yeah. And she's not in the best mental state. There was actually a sighting of his mother her mother for the first time in a while. Chris Chan made a homemade Kamala Harris for president sign and posted it in his mother's front yard. And in the background, you zoom in really close and you see her mom like looking out one of the windows.
Can you see the disappointment in her eyes, despite the dementia?
Do we know?
All I remember is I hate my son.
Is Chris Chan serving prison time with men or women?
So That was a big thing.
Oh.
Tucker Carlson actually covered the story when it first came out, because I think at some point she was in a female facility, but she was bounced around a lot. And at one point she was in a mental institution before they brought her back to the county jail. So it was all over the place. From my understanding, for the most part, it was more of a solitary confinement sort of thing, where she wasn't in the general population at any facility she was at. And when she was, it was like supervised. Someone was always there seeing.
It seemed, I mean, you obviously know so much more about the Chris Chan lore. What was the made up, this is old Chris Chan now, what was the name of his like made up sexuality? That was like, he defined it as he was into boyfriend-free girls.
When he was at the community college, where it took him like 4 years to get a 2-year degree, I believe, he set up a sign for himself to get a girlfriend, and it had all of the listings. I mean, speaking of Tinder, this is like pre-Tinder. He was ahead of his time. It was looking for a boyfriend-free girl, must have a car, must be between like 18 and 21 years of age, and at the bottom it said like no blacks or something like that.
Yeah, it's like must be white. Like he was.
Then there was this woman, Mary Lee Walsh, who was working at the college as like a facility head, and she took his sign and like ripped it up. And then Chris Chan made Mary Lee Walsh in Soul Calibur as a custom character, and then he made himself a custom character and then beat the crap out of Mary Lee Walsh in the game. And that was his first ever upload to YouTube, where the 4chan first found him.
It's such an anomaly, such an OG lol cow. I didn't know anything about Chris Chan until Taylor introduced me.
That's so surprising to me.
Some of the I don't like the most awful degenerate parts of the internet. Like Chris Chan belongs right there next to Two Girls, One Cup and shit like that. It's like a OG nasty. And at some point you wonder how legitimate it is.
He's the original lol cow.
Yes.
Although the way you know it's real, in my opinion, is I don't think that Chris was putting on a performance for those cops with body cams. You were getting real deal, like legitimate Chris Chan. That's just how he farts at one point. He's like, "Oh, excuse my flatulence," and it's like such a weird fucking thing to say. Like, what do you say to that? Like, bro, just let it.
Dude, the way the cops responded to because if you saw the clip, Woody. The cops are in this hotel room and they're like, all right, just so you know, you are under arrest. Like, we're going to stay here for you. And Chris is sitting there like, oh, I'm just worried there's going to be so many trolls. There's going to be so many trolls out there. The internet's going to have a heyday. Going to have a heyday with this. So many trolls. And the cops are clearly like, oh, really? That's so fascinating. Keep telling me about your made up reality of nonsense. And then like, as they're parading him out to go get arrested.
No, before that,
dozens of people are yelling like, Chris, free Chris Chan, yelling from a parking lot. Like, this hasn't even been announced yet. It's just people who track what Chris Chan's doing. And the cops are like on body cam being like, he wasn't lying. This is the wildest thing I've never been on a call like this. He's a real internet creator. Like, really? Very funny.
Appreciate it. I wasn't convinced that there's no like internet fans, but that confirms it.
There you go. I mean, Google Chris Chan or Sonic Shoe, and there you go. I've been infamous and famous.
Oh.